On today's episode of Watch JR Go, we are out in my garage with my cheap McLaren MP4-12C. And today, you'd think I would have learned my lesson, but we're installing Tesla parts in the McLaren to fix it. What is going on, guys? I'm Watch JR Go, and today, like I said, I'm here with my 2012 McLaren 12C, and it has horrible doors. And I don't know if it's unlocked. I think it is. The mirrors haven't folded up, but we give it the old swipe. Door opens up, and now we go to shut it. Okay, Truffles, you trying to check it out? The dog does not want the door shut. Hey, all right, you gotta get out of there now. That was good. You're done driving the McLaren. So we go to shut the door, and it's like this every single time you get out of the car. Put your hand here, you got some real force on the door. Didn't shut. Unlock it. So I shut it a little bit higher the next time, and we finally got it. Now the passenger door doesn't really have this problem, but when you're inside the car and you don't have your force back here above the latch, which is right here, you cannot get this thing shut without slamming it as hard as you physically can. So that's a fight. Now the passenger side, like I said, it always shuts pretty easily. Oh, my door was shutting easily because I left the window down over here. I have learned that if you leave the passenger window down, the driver door will shut. So you usually have to shut it with all of the force you possibly have if you're on the driver's side. But over here, we'll open it up, and it did not shut. Open it again. All right, that time I think it's shut. Either way, there's so much pressure in this that it doesn't ever let the door shut. And people are like, well, it's because the windows aren't indexing. I've seen this in the comments already. And you think I wouldn't know that the windows aren't indexing? They index perfectly every single time. And this is the deepest index I've ever seen on any car. When you open these, it rolls down 1.5 inches. It's massive. Every other car just cracks the window because you only need about 1/2 inch. This thing, to try to make the door shut right, opens the whole window almost. So, it is nothing to do with the indexing. It's just poorly designed. And later on, these cars got soft close. And how did they do that? With the Tesla Model X latches, of course. Now this car was around before the Model X, so it's probably what they were actually designed for. And then the 600 series seems to just have soft close. But I bought these from a salvage yard out of a Model X. And today we're gonna install them in my 12C to give it soft close. The dealership will also do this retrofit, but it's about $1,500, and I bought all these parts, both latches, for about 300 bucks. So it was considerably cheaper, and hopefully they work. So I'm gonna open these things up. This is one side from one seller, and this is another side from another seller. And let's start installing. Okay, we got my latches opened up here, and this is a direct drop-in, and it just adds soft close as soon as you plug them in. So nothing to do to the car, no programming required. These should be opposites. You need one left and one right. You can see this one says door latch, Model X 16 to 20 driver. Model X front door, left hand latch, NDX. Chevalier makes these latches for McLaren and Tesla, obviously. And basically they drop right in, but you have to flip them. So if this one says driver, it goes on the passenger door, and this one should be, it says right hand, so that's passenger, it needs to go in the driver door. And I bought the special revision 00A. This has 2 cable inputs inside it right there. You can see there's 2 holes for cables because the 12C has 2 cables, one for the emergency latch to get in the car and one for the pull tab in case there's no power and you need to get out of the car. I'd never actually seen the secret keyhole before, but I finally found it. And you pull this entire cover here, that pops down, and at the back of this, right in front of the grille, there's a keyhole. And if you're ever locked out of your McLaren, that's how you get in. You pull down all this trim, and then everyone says the key isn't going to work because it gets frozen with dirt in it. Another note, if you don't have the 2 cable latch, most people ditch, they leave this one in case you ever get locked out of the car, and they don't put the cable back in for the release latch because you still have the cable on the passenger side no matter what. So that's pretty much how we're setting this up. I bought the old latch because it has the dual cable, and it should work better and just drop right into this car. And we got both seats all the way forward so that we can get back in here. And to start with, we're gonna pull, whenever you guys can see, that center piece of trim out, and then the edge pieces of trim that wrap around, speaker grill, and then this piece of trim. And we'll just kind of work around and get all the trim out of the back of this car. And it shouldn't take too long here. I think we'll need to pop these loose so that they can slide back in. These are the emergency latch releases I was talking about. They're literally attached to cable. When you pull on them, it will unlatch the latches in an emergency. I mean, it's got a big old sign right there telling you what to do. So this shouldn't take too long once we start getting it all apart. There's 3 hex screws out here, and we have to take the seatbelt assembly out, and then we can get back up in here. And also, all of this needs to come out. Oh, look at that. I couldn't ask for it to come out better. It's just falling out. Cool. Well, those ones came right out. Let's see if we can get the top one there. Oh, wow. It's because this has all been apart before for sure. I bet people have been working on the latches. I've never seen a car come apart so well. I just touched that and it popped right off. Nothing's tight and every fastener is in there. It just comes right apart. This is awesome. All of this trim came out in like 2 seconds. All right, so back here we have the amazing Meridian mid-bass speakers. And those literally say Meridian on them. It has an incredible system in this car. Sounds great. Those are hiding right there. Here is our seatbelt retractor assembly and also the airbag pretensioner. You can see the cable that runs the latch in an emergency right there with that little key ring on it. And we're gonna do the same thing to pull this side apart. And that pretty much gets us to the latches. The latch is back here behind the seatbelt assembly, so you do have to unbolt that. As you start taking the car apart, you really get to start seeing a lot more of the carbon monocoque there and how cool all of that layup looks. And then right here, your next job is pulling these 2 screws right there. They're torque marked. Those hold on the bracket. There's one more underneath the bracket at the back and one more right up here. You can just barely see where I'm pointing there, but cordless ratchet obviously make this a lot easier. And don't drop that bottom one. It's very easy to drop. If you do, you're gonna have a bad day. I don't think you're gonna get it back out of there without taking a lot more of the interior part, so take your time. All right, I've got it all taken apart now. You can see this big plastic cover that's covered in that nasty rubber has to come out. It looks like it's been out before actually. And you do want to loosen up all the wires and remove that airbag, the SRS wire for the air seatbelt pretensioner. That's got to come off, and the cable should be loose. I've got it completely out here, right there. There's the cable pull. And the latch is ready to come out now. It's also unplugged deep down inside there. There's a locking tab and a connector. Get it all off. All that should be left now is these 3 screws, and the latch should just kind of fall out and go through the hole. The door latch, that's the bane of my existence. Look at that, Chevalier Technologies. Let's get this thing apart. Pull this rubber boot off, tear the latch down. There's a bunch of screws we gotta pull off to split the housing on this, get the cables out, swap them onto the new one. I was in here working like, man, I wish I had some light instead of this little flashlight I'm holding. And then I forgot I've got my giant icon light I just showed you guys. So that's on me, but now we can see there's our cables removed. The way the latch goes in, this will be on top, this will be on bottom. And this is the old latch that's original to the car. Look at that, it uses a like a helical gear, and it must be able to put out some serious torque there the way that works. But it was always flaky. Date of manufacturers, 14th of December 2012, so it must have been original. I am super excited for the new one because the new one is clearly a monster. No stupid plastic gears in there, and what's obviously a much, much better setup. It has this spline drive system right there, and the latch mechanism is just far more heavy duty. Whatever you do when you take this apart, don't lose any of its parts. If anything falls out, you'll be in trouble, but there's the new motor with its big spline. So I'm ready to stick this one back in the car, and the way I took them apart, it should go right back into this one. So I'm gonna put this in first and then screw the latch back together. The old latch was 3 Phillips, and they looked like they've been taken apart before. The new latch was T10s, 4 of them, and it felt like it hadn't been taken apart, which is much better. The new cables are all installed in my latch. Everything dropped right back together, super easy. And make sure you give those a little half turn. You'll have to open the latch just a hair. Try not to trip it, but you can move these levers just a hair like that. You can see it moving. The cable should run inside of the levers. If you have the newer revision of these, you have to throw a cable away, like I said before. If you buy the old one, which may fail sooner, you can use both cables. Well, I was warned this could happen. My brand new latch is in, everything's hooked back up and basically put back into place. And then I go like this, which is where the soft close should kick in. And it doesn't try to soft close, and it won't close the door. Actually, the door just hits it. Oh, look at that, it actually unlatched. That's the first time. Okay, okay. I'm gonna try like a little wiggle adjustment and see if it comes back to life. There's a chance we might get this, but it does look like the soft close part's dead. This will be the closest we've been to the latch actually working. Let's see what happens. It worked! Oh, but it didn't close the door. It pulled in, but it didn't close. Okay. Let's try again. I adjusted the latch up just a hair. Oh, it worked! That motor probably almost burned itself out trying to like find home. And they say that it can get stuck in like a strange position between the two cables. I think it just made another noise. That's a bad sign. You guys just heard Car Truck where Tavares's car freaked out in the middle of the night. It's because of these stupid door latches. And I have heard that you need to buy them brand new from Tesla and they'll last a long time. But I didn't want to modify the car. I wanted it to be right, so I already had the old ones. That's about the most reliable this door has ever been. I'm gonna give the latch a second to cool down. There's a heat sink on the back of it. Is that not insane? There's a heat sink for the motor. Must be a big old MOSFET or something like that. And I could feel it was actually very hot. That could be the driver or the motor, but let's give it a minute. And then we'll try to soft close it again. But what a huge improvement if this works. All right, here we go. Time for a new test. And of course, the latch didn't release to the right position. Why does it do this? Try it again with a little wiggling.
15 minutes later.
Well, it did not release all the way, even though it seemed like it was working very well. You can hear the latch is failing every single time. Oh, if I slam it, I guess it'll work. Now it won't even open. What a piece of junk. Well, I guess we're going back with that piece of junk. Today we learned all McLaren door latches are junk. If you get new Tesla ones or new McLaren ones, you'll probably be okay for a long time. Who would have guessed that's what you get for buying a 10-year-old Tesla part that probably did come out of an accident car since it was being parted out, but yeah, I've tried about everything and it behaves differently every single time the door shuts. So no soft close, force it close, latches. Latch freaks out. I guess last time I actually let it do this until it stopped, which took multiple minutes and then it worked once. You guys saw that obviously. But I have a feeling this latch is coming back out right now. We'll do the passenger side, which is a newer latch, and I bet it works perfectly. Now it won't unlatch. Oh, that was the 7th time. Well, the chances of this latch being bad are basically 100. So let's move on to the passenger side. We're just gonna run over here, get that door open again so we can get some light in the cabin and yank out the seatbelt mount. And this latch right here, actually I already got these loose, so we're getting close. And this shouldn't take very long at all. You do have to undo this key ring right there, drop that cable out of there, but a few minutes of work and we should have this latch swapped. And hopefully we have working soft close on the passenger side with this much newer latch I have over there. This latch is a revision D, which is almost the newest revision there is, so it's obviously from a much newer Model X and should work much better. Let's get to it. 40 long, grueling minutes later, do I have soft close on my cheap McLaren with some cheap parts? Here we go. Negative. I went ahead and pulled the emergency release. Let's try again. No. Try again. Almost. Well, that's a lot better than that one. At least this thing tries to soft close every time, but it doesn't have the torque to suck the door down. So I'm gonna see if I can adjust the latch out just a hair and maybe that'll solve this problem. Okay, after a ton of hard work And the passenger side one was actually much easier, other than the fact they used so much goo when somebody worked on this before. It took probably 40 minutes to an hour to get that off of the cover so that I could access the latch. But now, check this out. It tries to soft close every time, loads up on a bunch of torque, and releases the door. And won't roll. I mean, it knows the door's not closed, otherwise the window would index back. At least it releases. Shuts normally. Well, another bad latch. And I tried tightening it with the latch all the way out, you know, pushing it all the way towards the door and then tightening the screws down just a hair. I'm not like cranking down on them or anything because you want to, well, you'll destroy the thing if you bear down on them too hard. So I loosened them back up about a quarter turn so the latch would float a little bit and snugged them just so the latch would move. Tried it again, still nothing. So another bad latch. I did not think that I would have two dead ones. Now, just try it again, failed again. EMF did tell me that pretty much every latch you buy on eBay are just trash ones that people are trying to dump. So if you can get new ones, do that. He said he has new ones in stock. I already reached out to him, but there is a chance, well, right now I'm putting my stock door latches back, and there's a good chance I'm not gonna want to take this car all the way apart again. Heartbreaking. Tesla, you let me down twice. You let me down on a Tesla and a McLaren. Oh well, you live to wrench another day. I'll rebuild it with the old latches and we'll be back on the road with doors that shut terribly again. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjargo.com for cool shirts, not like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time. That was a lot of work for nothing, and it is going to take a solid hour and a half to put the car back together, but we're going to get it done. And then I'm going to return those two latches because they did both come from salvage yards. Buy new ones. This is what Freddie was doing in Car Trek with his 675 that the alarm kept going off on all night, because I have also heard a lot of people after they install used latches, they end up with doors kind of randomly opening. They don't actually open, but they pop open that little start and index the windows, and the car will be outside and, you know, rain will get it. So you can do this, but you probably do want to buy new latches. I tried to do it my favorite way and the parts were not in my favor. I just talked to EMF Autos, and like I said, he had some Tesla latches in stock and now they're on the way. So Friday, we try this again. I probably won't luck out with the double lever latch, but at least this car will have soft close. Maybe. He did say these ones were used and they might also break, but he doesn't install used ones anymore for this exact reason.